first to find their bloodied bodies and the first to call 911.
The 17-year-old self-proclaimed vampire cult leader pleading guilty.
One of the three
to the
teenage
killing.
suspects have said they were part of a satanic cult.
The reports are alarming. Rituals, murder, teens rejecting mainstream religions and turning to Satan.
When people say, do you worship Satan? I usually answer yes.
Behind the headlines, experts are deeply divided about what's really going on. Is this a religious conversion, or troubled kids with nowhere left to turn?
I think I am in hell, so it can't get much worse than this, can it?
Satan is alive and well on the planet Earth.
That's the basis for the investigation we undertook. A journey deep into the world of teens and dark religion.
Marilyn Manson is many parents' worst nightmare.
We will no longer be oppressed by the fascism of Christianity.
He's a rock star who describes his concerts as satanic rituals. Manson sings, but he also preaches. His autobiography, The Long Hard Road Out of Hell, talks about his own troubled childhood and why he turned to Satanism. At a recent Manson book signing, we found kids who take his message to heart.
What religion do you practice?
Manson religion.
Hell yeah. My mom died when I was like 12, and like I don't believe in any religion anymore.
Let's go, keep it moving.
I was raised Catholic, but then I started to question things, and then I got different viewpoints on different things, and I really can't conform to a religion right now. Yeah, he opened my eyes.
I'm an atheist.
I'm Wiccan.
I'm an atheist.
What does that mean?
You don't believe in
But does Manson feel responsible for leading kids down this path?
I feel as responsible as any artist should, you know? You create something and you hope that people have the intelligence to interpret it. I think the responsibility really lies in the person and in the family that's raising them.
What do your parents believe in?
I don't know.
I'm not sure if my parents ever really understood what I do.
I think rock and roll has more spirituality than religion. So I feel between us and our fans is a great amount of soul, more than you would find in a lot of religions. And I've spent so much time talking about religion that I've just grown bored with it.
Oh my God! He touched your hand. You were lucky. Oh my God! He got your hand.
Manson may say he's not responsible for these kids, but his presence has a serious impact.
In the Elvis Presley days, you could rebel with a haircut. I mean, what parent's going to get upset over a haircut, no matter how outrageous it is these days? So that with each generation, kids have to go to more and more of an extreme to do it.
Dr. J. Gordon Melton is a professor of alternative religion at the University of California at Santa Barbara.
The change that I'm most concerned about has to do with the intensity of the experience. The experience of going to a Marilyn Manson concert, which one can then relate back to a Kiss concert, which one can then relate back to Elvis Presley, to say. And you see the upping of the intensity. To interact with a computer is more intense than looking at television. Kids are bored in school because school's not intense enough for them.
Experts told us that kids were using the internet to connect with other kids who were into Satanism. So we began to reach out to teens on the net, and that's where we found TJ.
To the east I call Lucifer, the prince of the air. To the south I call Satan, the master of the flame. To the west I call Leviathan, the serpent of the abyss.
We loaned him a camera to shoot his secret satanic rituals. After TJ sent us his home video, he agreed to meet us in person.
Hello. Hello. Good to meet you.
He's a high school senior in Norton, Massachusetts.
Well, actually, I think I do have a locker.
And it might be down there.
Well, I'm not sure. I've never used it.
Nope. I do actually pretty horrible in school.
Yeah. Although TJ is far from an A student, he's found that his satanic persona has created a kind of personal power.
My nicknames in school are Satan and death. You know, walk down the hallway and everybody will be like, "Hey Satan," or "Hey death."
We went to the woods on the outskirts of town. It's the place where he feels most comfortable.
I got picked on heavily when I was a kid. I mean, my town, no one liked me. I was like the kid in school everyone picked on. For the years and years and years and years, I tried to live up to their expectations. And one day, I just said, screw this. All of a sudden, then people accepted me.
Sweetheart.
TJ introduced me to some of his friends.
Twiggy, that's Josh. This is his Jester's hut.
Can't we joke?
This is Tim, the yo boy.
Yeah, yo boy, my ass.
Check you out. Why are you doing this? We're masochists.
Dude, George, I should show him my tattoo, huh?
There's always been a generation gap. It's kind of like a thing of growing up. And I'm quite aware of that. I think my parents have taken it too far. Way too far. They've put me through a lot of hell. I get frustrated. I get pissed.
TJ portrayed himself as a lonely outcast, but around his friends it was a different story.
My music was blamed for so much when I was a kid. My mom blamed the Metallica song Fade to Black for my suicidality when I was younger. These lyrics are inspiring you to kill yourself. This is why you tried to do it. And it's like, no, it was you. Grow up, you know? It's because you can't understand where I'm coming from, because you don't try to understand where I'm coming from. You just try to butt heads with me.
TJ told me the relationship with his parents became so bad they sent him to a mental institution after a suicide attempt.
One time, and this is what got me locked up, my mom wanted me to go to church. Obviously, belief system I have, no, I don't want to go. We just got in a huge argument. I said, I'm not going to conform to do something I don't even want to do in the first place. And I actually broke into my dad's closet, pulled out the gun, and loaded it, and almost killed myself.
In defiance of his parents' beliefs and with nowhere to turn, TJ found Satanism.
This is the forbidden room of the Satanist.
In the name of Satan, the ruler of the earth, the king of the world, I command the forces of darkness to be still.
On this home video, TJ is performing a satanic baptism on his friend Phil. It involves the worship of body and nature through magic.
It's a religion, it's a philosophy, to me, it's life.
Belial, Leviathan.
Should people be scared of you? You shouldn't fear me unless you get in my way. I have a few people who are on my hit list. I haven't done anything about it yet because I don't have a car.
Watch out.
Watch out.
When you look at a kid who says, I embrace Satan as my savior, you're looking at a kid who is gone to the last resort. That kid feels so unloved, so worthless, so disconnected, so unviable, so powerless, and Satan gives that person a little bit of security in their back pocket.
Dr. Donna Gaines is a professor of sociology at Barnard College. She specializes in youth culture. According to Gaines, kids turn to Satanism when they have nowhere else to turn.
I've seen in kids who are that desperate a real yearning for God's love that they can't get directly through religion or through their parents.
But not all Satanists feel abused or neglected. At another Manson book signing, we met Amber Quintal.
We didn't practice religion at home for a lot of reasons. Like the biggest was that they didn't ever want to take the choice away from me.
Amber's from Hawaii. She's 18 and is a sophomore at the University of Washington.
When you say Satan or you say Satanist, people have these images of, killing babies and, every bad thing that ever happens. And that's not what Satanism is all about.
For Amber, Satanism is an intimate experience that involves pain. She and her friend Andrea took me to Green Lake Tattoo Parlor, the place where they spend most of their free time.
I personally like this one best. I have a really hard time clearing my mind, and for me, I find it a lot easier to focus really intently on one thing, and pain seems to really hold my attention.
Up there.
For Amber and Andrea, getting pierced is a spiritual experience. But Amber doesn't just get piercings. She does more painful rituals, such as scarification. Scarification is the process of carving designs into your skin and maintaining the scars by irritating the wounds.
This is a picture of a black widow, and he cut that outline.
To Amber, the Black Widow is a metaphor for her spirituality.
Black widows are completely misunderstood. I mean, some people would go so far as to say that they're, you know, evil or bad and this, that, and the other, but they're following their own nature. At this point, you know, just like the piercings and stuff for me, we don't have any responsibility. We're not in the middle of a career. You know, yeah, people may look at us a little strangely, but, you know, oh well.
To each his own.
Yeah.
You'll have people who, as a way of being unique, as a way of being special, will go further than the norm.
Dr. Lowell Stryker is a counselor who specializes in cults and religious conversions.
They'll do something that mutilates their bodies a little bit more, that blows out their eardrums a little bit more, whatever the cultural expression is. And when it gets into religious expressions, of course, they can wander off into all kinds of things.
When we return, we'll explore the religious battles brewing between generations.
How about just obeying your parents?
And meet parents who are so frightened of their child they went to extreme measures.
We made arrangements to have her kidnapped.
For some parents, the fight against dark religions is a battle for their children's lives. I went to Temecula, California to meet with Barbie and Frank Aguirre.
Should we walk in? Sure.
Yeah, right. They're in the midst of a religious struggle with their 17-year-old daughter, Angela.
Are you 3? Well, you're gonna be 3, huh? When you turn 3?
Maybe you can just start by telling me a little bit about what she was like as a child.
She was a wonderful child, you know, very obedient, you know, was very involved in church, just a really good kid.
But around the age of 12 or 13, they started to notice a change in their daughter.
It progressively got worse and worse. Her appearance was changing dramatically, the weight loss. She stopped going to school. And Barbie and I were just beside herself on what to do.
She bought herself a black cat and a snake, and we knew that there were big problems.
It starts out with just doing potions, and it goes from that to doing sacrifices, and it just gets more and more radical.
And in the midst of all of it, my father died, and I think for her that was maybe, I'm not gonna cry, but
That's okay. It's hard. It's wrong.
she pierced her tongue and her eyebrow, and her ears were pierced, her belly button. She got a tattoo.
There was just a point there where we both thought we were gonna lose her.
And I made arrangements to have her kidnapped and, you know, and taken to Victory.
Late at night, 2 men came and took Angela 3,000 miles away from her family.
She looks like a movie star.
Yeah. That's who we're getting back.
Later, we'll see where Angela is being held.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
While the Aglios' actions may seem extreme, there are some who would agree with them.
Well, hello, America, and welcome to Talk Back with Bob Larson. I will be here the next hour talking about what's on my mind and hearing from you about what's on your mind. Hell is hot and getting ready for the end.
Radio talk show host Bob Larson sees himself on the front lines in the battle against Satan.
I'm concerned about what's killing our kids, and I'm concerned that people don't care to find out.
He's a radio missionary trying to save kids who he thinks have turned to the dark side.
You are a 15-year-old, non-vampire, goth, bisexual drag queen? You are a typical rebellious brat. You don't want to be told anything. You're not a rebellious brat. You're a 15-year-old goth drag queen, and your father's a Presbyterian minister, and you're not rebellious?
For Larson, the temptation of dark religion is real for every kid.
Every kid's got to go through a time when he rejects generally the religion that's been handed to him and the belief system that his parents have passed on to him. But before you throw it away entirely, count the costs, check out the consequences before you do something that you regret and you get into something that you can't get out of.
For some kids, Satanism is a way to strike back at their parents. For others, it can be a rejection of organized religion overall.
Okay, I think I'm done.
How do you know if you're done?
It's like when I get sick of the smell of hairspray, it's just about done. kind of like cooking when your food starts to like smell right, you know it's done. Well, when I can't tolerate the fumes anymore.
Talia Marone is 18 years old. She was born and raised in Israel, but now lives in New Jersey with her family.
It's just assumed if you live in Israel, you're Jewish, you go to school, you celebrate all the holidays, and it just never appealed to me. The fact that Muslims are going around killing thousands and thousands of Jews out of their jihad, I think that's ridiculous. There's no need for that.
Her parents practiced Judaism, but Talia developed her own religion, which she calls Taliaism.
I keep all of my stuff here, in this little teeny compartment here. The point is, it's not rituals I have something against, it's rituals that are homogenized, you know what I mean? Like, that are shared by a lot of people, therefore they're not personal anymore, and they can't really be effective anymore.
Talia's brand of spirituality borrows heavily from Satanism.
Here's the Satanic Bible with a chunk missing out of it. The word Satan in Hebrew comes from the old word Satan, which means the opposer. They're opposed to conventional beliefs.
Satan has been the best friend that the church ever had, as it kept it in business all these years, which is absolutely my favorite statement.
Talia sees Satanism as a positive force that motivates and inspires her.
What I really want to do is do special effects makeup, like horror movies, fake blood, bullets, wounds. But for now, I'm just working on my cosmetology license. Okay, my mom is calling me, so I gotta go. Yeah, Mom? Hold on.
Unlike many kids her age, Talia has an exceptionally close relationship with her parents.
They're proud of the fact that I have my own mind and I make my own decisions, and I get along with them great. I love both my parents very much.
I'm coming with you.
Okay. You come with me?
Yeah, he's gonna follow.
How long have you been driving? 3 weeks. This is my motek, and that's Hebrew for honey.
That's my booba,
Hebrew
doll.
You know, I think heaven and hell is here on earth, and it's what you make of it.
Now I'm talking about this.
Teenagers are still kids. Their mind is still pure. Their mind has not been fully brainwashed.
Talia took us to meet her friend Raphael, a Satanist who hardly ever leaves his house.
Raphael?
Hi.
How are you doing?
How are you?
Unlike Talia, his religion gives him little sense of hope or comfort.
So, what's up?
Raphael is 19. He wouldn't let me film him at the flower shop where he works during the day, but he invited me to a rehearsal of his band, Angel Sing.
But if I was going to worship one religion, it would be Satanism. My definition of a Satanist is somebody who believes basically in himself.
Other than his dream of becoming a musician, Raphael's vision of the future seems very bleak.
There's so many weapons like floating around in all these different countries that like it's not going to take much to start something that's going to end it all. I covered the Pope in blood and put the anti-symbol and glitter and makeup and stuff. If you look closely, he has makeup on. So yeah, he's my favorite.
And you're not scared you're going to go to hell for that one?
I'm not scared I'm going to go to hell. I mean, if there is a hell, I'm definitely going there, so it doesn't matter, you know.
I'd want to go.
But I think I am in hell, so it can't get much worse than this, can it? I know the world has always been sort of an evil place, but it's just getting worse.
It took some convincing to get Raphael to leave his dark basement room. He says that outside, his beliefs almost always lead to trouble.
Yeah, wow, these people are gonna have a fucking heart attack.
Okay.
I thought Raphael was being overly dramatic, but as soon as we walked into a pizza place, he started to get harassed.
How do you live now? Caves? That was good, caves. That was, well, I don't live in it.
I asked you why, you said we killed chicken to shove up our ass.
Wipe your ass with your makeup. Oh, you're a tough guy, man. Yeah, you get your ass beat so bad, man.
This is why I don't go out. This is why I don't go out.
Typical New Jersey.
All this, just except fucking peace.
Although no fists were thrown, Raphael believes events like this continue to alienate him from the outside world.
Oh, gonna kick your ass, man.
I'm gonna wipe your ass with my makeup.
Like a lot of adults, like older adults, are naive, and they were brought up in a whole different world than we were brought up in today.
It's a pretty good night in Jersey, if you ask me.
I think there's a lot to worry about, and God isn't going to help you now.
Somebody who's at that age, who's so far away from death, why is that so particularly appealing?
I don't think they're so far away from death. I think there are a lot of suicides. Adolescents are dealing with death when they have parents who are divorced, because that's a death. There's a lot of loss, a lot of fear of loss. There's economic instability. People are working one day, they're downsized the next. Playing out the iconography of death and despair is very comforting. It's dealing with it head on. Plus, it looks cool.
When we return, we'll see how parents and teens cope when dark religion crosses the line into the danger zone.
For the pain, for the blood, for the high.
When kids cross the line into the dangerous world of dark religion, some parents take action. For the Aglios, that action was kidnapping.
Andrea and I are outside Pensacola, Florida. We're on our way to a home called the Genesis Ministries, which is a home for young girls who've been sent there by their parents to stay for 1 full year and sort of reprogram their thinking.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers.
Genesis is a Christian rescue mission for young girls involved in the occult or drug abuse.
Esther, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations. I started getting into the Ouija board and stuff like that, and then I got involved in Wicca, and I became a witch.
Yes, I'm ready to go to lunch.
Angela Aglio is one of the 75 girls being held here. Her parents arranged for her to be kidnapped and taken to Genesis as a last resort.
Everyone was really scared of me at school because I was a witch. So they would act like they were friends with me, but they were scared of me. I kind of liked it. I liked the power. I liked having people like respect me and are scared of me at the same time.
The program is a year long, but Angela's been here for over 14 months.
I had magazines sent in from all over the world on potions. I had like 300 jars filled with different kind of ingredients, like a serpent's head, or you can get a dove's heart.
The program at Genesis can only be described as a modern-day exorcism. Its founder and spiritual leader is Dr. Michael Palmer.
We have a young lady come in here. I mean, we get called a lot of names. We get spit at. They throw things at you. I mean, they're taking out their temper tantrum on us. It worked in another program. They got kicked out. They try to see if they can make that work here. It does not work.
We are a people out of control. The young people have got a term for it. It's called anarchy.
The rules at Genesis are strict. Language is monitored. Words like cool or freak are off limits. They can't touch each other, even if a girl is crying. Palmer says this is necessary to win the battle against Satan.
You can expect bad things to happen. Bad living.
Satan is alive and well on the planet Earth. Satan has certain limitations on what he can do. Satan, for instance, can never possess a Christian.
The girls tell stories that would make any parent worry about their daughter.
Can you give me a definition of who Satan is?
Before I came here, Satan was my father.
Amber Bolio is 17. She has a compulsion for self-mutilation.
Seeing the blood was fascinating, and tasting the blood was even more fascinating. And bleeding a lot, and then just getting that high of lack of blood is just started to become addicting.
They're searching, and they're searching basically in a lot of the wrong places. And so in the long run, they're going to come up empty inside.
You ready?
I was guilty with nothing to say.
Palmer says that he's taught these girls to trust God rather than the devil. and he claims the devil is very real.
My first contact with Satanism was when I was working in another girls' school, and we had two young ladies there that were involved in the occult and Satanism, and on their dresser they had several candlesticks. But I saw the candlesticks moving with my own eyes. I was shocked. I thought, there's a trick to this. And so they were moving things. The girls were moving things without touching them.
After hearing Dr. Palmer, it was clear to me that he believes in the power of spells and black magic. But while he fears them, Angela still seems inspired by them.
I did a love spell and it went on from there, you know, and I started doing hexes and just because I saw that the spell really works, and it does. It really works.
In a couple of weeks, Angela will return home, and she's agreed to let us meet her at the airport with her parents.
That old world's still out there when you go home, and those same old temptations and those same old friends. And are you going to be strong enough to say no? Are you going to be strong enough to stand?
I just feel like I'm ordinary now, you know, how everyone before was like, oh, look at her, and kind of like look twice, you know. I don't feel like it's like that. I feel just like I'm normal.
After visiting a place devoted to fighting Satan, we wanted to meet the people behind the Satanic movement. While believers in Satanism have been around since before Christianity, modern Satanism was founded in 1966 by Anton LaVey. LaVey, known as the Black Pope, shocked many by daring to call his brand of Satanism a church. LaVey wrote the Satanic Bible, which was published in 1969. The church now claims to have sold more than 1 million copies. LaVey died in 1997. His widow, Blanche Barton, is now High Priestess of the church.
There are things that you're asked to believe in the basic structure of Christianity that is absurd in the face of science. We get very articulate letters from 14 and 15-year-old kids. They're finding a religion that actually integrates the dramatic images that they want to evoke something within themselves, along with a very rational approach toward real life. That's what Satanism really is.
No matter how hard parents and preachers try to stop Satanism, Barton says the appeal will live on.
Whether we're above ground or underground, Satanists will always be there.
For kids on the streets, the lure of dark religion has a strong appeal.
I've never seen so many different religions until I hit the streets. You've got your Satanist group, you've got your Wicca group. A lot of people want to do whatever will give them power.
Harley was a homeless teen living on the streets of Seattle. He's exactly the type of kid you'd expect to be drawn in.
Done every drug that I know of, ran guns, been locked up, been shot, been everything pretty much. You know, I miss the days. Sometimes I really do.
But Harley didn't turn to dark religion, and he didn't join the mainstream either. Instead, he found his own way out. I'm standing outside Oasis Christian Fellowship here in Burien, and in a couple minutes I'm going to go in and meet Harley and his minister, Scott. Oasis Church preaches Christianity to kids through heavy metal music and slam dancing.
We all want something
It started in 1990 in a garage with only 4 members and has grown to over 500. Many, like Harley, come to Oasis to find acceptance, regardless of their background.
It's really cool because like everybody there I can relate to because they've all had problems. They've all come from their life sucked.
Father, let them understand for the first time ever, maybe, Jesus loves them, God.
When you have someone that's interested in Satanism or whatever thing they can do that is just as starkly contrasting to normal society as they can get, most churches are weirded out by it. We actually embrace it. We love it. I'm convinced that the God that I serve is the real God, and I believe I can show him a better way.
If you never change one bit of your behavior, I love you.
That's right. Good word.
A lot of people say, well, come on, Scott, you preach that. Those young people, they'll think they can just about do anything. And I'm saying, now you're getting it. Yeah. If I teach that, I'll teach them they can do anything.
I've learned to take all the violence I grew up with and turn it to a violence against Satan, turn it to a love for everybody. There is hope out there.
When we return, we'll see Angela's homecoming. After 14 months, has she changed?
While searching for more witches on the internet, two teens from Connecticut really caught our attention.
We're on our way now to the community television, I think it's called CTV, cable television station here in Connecticut, where they host a show that tries to educate people about Wicca.
Wicca, also known as witchcraft, is the worship of nature through gods and goddesses. Allison Capicia is a 16-year-old witch. She and her boyfriend Ben feel persecuted for their religious beliefs.
We're just here to try to dispel the myths so that we can walk out on the street wearing our pentacles, wearing our jewelry, without people screaming, "Satan worshiper, I hope you burn in hell."
Their monthly show is called Sacred Circle. It's an attempt to teach parents about the role of witchcraft in teens' lives.
And welcome back to Sacred Circle. Great and all-powerful goddess, we call you to this circle, moon mother of all the living creatures of the earth.
But with all her attempts to make parents understand, Allison has some troubles of her own. Her stepmother is a strict Catholic and would not tolerate her Wicca practices. That caused Allison to move out of her parents' house and in with her grandparents.
She called me a devil worshiper to my father, and that upset him a lot. I think that was the last straw that I moved in here.
And is Allison's grandfather worried about her Wicca stuff?
No, not in the least.
What have you seen that's been positive?
She's more outgoing. She doesn't stay in her room all the time. She socializes more. She does things now that she probably wouldn't have done before. She's been on TV, she's been on radio.
May all of our energy be placed within this spell. So mote it be.
When I was growing up, if you were not Catholic, you weren't going to heaven. I don't know where you were going, but you weren't going to heaven.
I don't believe in a heaven per se, and I don't believe in hell at all. We do not worship Satan. We don't even believe in it.
There are some groups that both have a dark image and other groups that are genuinely dark.
These are all my herbs. These are bath crystals. I think these are rose-scented bath crystals.
Do you use those in ritual?
No, bath crystals to bathe with.
When we come to a group like Wicca, which is a fairly large group, probably involving anywhere between 50 and 100,000 people at this point of time. Here's a group with a dark image, but the reality of the situation is that witches are among the most gentle and sane of people on the planet.
Ben and Allison let us film one of their private rituals at home. This one was to celebrate the spring equinox.
I bless this creature of water so it may be pure for our ritual use. You have to let kids be themselves, because if you don't, you stifle them, and that just hurts them in the long run.
I would much rather have her come home and say I'm Wiccan than I'm pregnant or I'm HIV. Those are big problems. Wiccan is not.
The last time we saw Angela, she was preparing to leave Genesis after 14 months of spiritual rehabilitation. Today, she's finally coming home to her family.
Are you guys excited?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I can't wait for her to do that.
Welcome home. It's delayed to 6:50. Are you excited it's here?
A lot has changed since her abduction. Angela is returning to an unstable family environment. While her parents are together now, she says they will soon be getting a divorce. The Aglios seemed anxious because they weren't sure which Angela would be stepping off the plane.
Can we go get your stuff?
I was nervous to come back because I've been away for so long, for like a year and a half. And also I live in a new city and have to start a new school and everything else.
Soon Angela will be packing her bags again. After the divorce, she'll be moving in with her father.
Do you have a jacket?
Are you smoking?
I just have this.
Yeah.
You told me to stop.
I did, but I started again.
Okay, well, go get me a pack of Singers.
Yeah. Okay, let's get.
I cannot believe you, Dad.
I know.
I cannot believe you.
I'm quitting now.
You're.
I'm quitting. I
You're
promise.
quitting?
I'm quitting.
Okay, well then go buy me a pack and then I'll quit after that.
The plan is that I'm going to live with my dad, and then my mom and my brothers are going to live in San Clemente.
Angela told me that she will miss her mother and brothers when they separate. Her mother wrote her a song about the pain of separation.
Sometimes I sit and think about the years before your birth, when I wanted to have a child more than anything on earth. And all the what ifs and the guilt I felt, it didn't make things right. For in your empty, drug-filled loneliness, you chose darkness over light.
As far as like having the perfect family, you know, we all fight, you know, but it's just, we have like God in our family too.
Angela's parents believe her time at Genesis was a success, but Angela feels she's got a long way to go.
I'm not really used to living with my parents, you know, so every once in a while I'm just like, forget it, I'm out of here, I'm gonna leave. But then if I do that, then I'm gonna be right back in the same place that I started off with in the first place, you know.
Come here.
I've come too far to look back, you know.
When we come back, we'll take a look at the murders associated with dark religion. Are teen Satanists and witches getting a bad rap? Or should we really be scared of them?
Sammy, Lauren, and I traveled for 3 weeks across the country meeting teens who practice dark religions.
We love hate!
We went from Marilyn Manson book signing.
I don't have any friends that are like Christian or believe in like anything close to God.
To secret rituals.
To the east, I call Lucifer.
We met kids who find solace in pain.
Pain seems to really hold my attention.
Some were institutionalized for their beliefs.
We are the only way.
And some found their own salvation.
Many of the kids we met found acceptance through Satanism, acceptance they couldn't find in their families or mainstream religions.
After you get into this stuff, you realize you have a lot of power and something you never had before. People are scared of you, so that way they respect you too.
If you are a high priest of Satan, you are a powerful person.
But should parents be worried that kids will take this sense of power too far?
I was in a state of basically dementia.
Kids like Rod Farrell would make you believe so. The 17-year-old brutally murdered a Florida couple and has been sentenced to die in the electric chair. Those killings were blamed on his fascination with the occult.
That's not spirituality. That's deeply depressed kids who don't even feel alive or worth anything, inflicting what's inflicted on them on somebody else.
You may see lots of stories in the newspapers or on tabloid television about human sacrifice or whatever, and what you're dealing with are a few instances that are not representative of anything. They're just representative of these few instances.
We don't know what generates criminality, and we don't know what generates sociopathology.
Experts say dark religions can't be blamed for these crimes. Still, these kids feel that they are perceived as dangerous just because of their religious beliefs.
They're doing it because they're sick. And so automatically when someone finds out that they're they don't believe in Christianity, they're like, oh, see, it's the devil that did it.
They can't separate reality from fantasy. I mean, they need help. People like that deserve to die.
People who kill and say Satan made me do it, well, if Satan wasn't available to them, it'd be some other demon that made them do it.
Teens say that their worship is not harmful to others. But what about the kids who inflict pain on themselves?
The kid who stays in it long enough and gets in deep enough eventually runs into malevolent spiritual forces and gets on a self-destructive bent.
I'd sit there and just cut myself because you can feel the pain. You can focus on the pain.
I could, cut a little too deep and cut in the wrong place and just not be able to do anything about it.
Here are people who are deprived. They're deprived physically or they're deprived psychologically or both.
I'll probably die a very young man.
In some way they see that this belief, this ritual, this lifestyle fulfills whatever it is that they think is missing. It satisfies that deprivation. So you've got to start by looking there. You've got to look at what this deprivation is.
I don't think there's anything missing. except maybe a little more understanding. I mean, it's really hard to talk with a priest who's twice your age. Let's face it. It's hard to talk with anybody who's twice your age unless they're really, really open-minded and know exactly what you're going through. So I think maybe that's the one thing. Maybe it's communication.
Whenever something is new and unfamiliar, our first reaction as human beings is to be scared and push it away and to get angry and to repress it. That's the worst thing you could do. That could put your kid over the edge.
What all of our experts, teens, and parents seem to agree on is a need for open discussion.
Get some books, read up on it, find out what you're dealing with.
I think for Angela and many kids, they cry out to say, you know what, I know I'm stepping over these boundaries, but I would like you to tell me no. It's just a sign of love to them.
These are good kids who are trying to survive in the face of bad parenting.
You have to, at all costs, maintain communication. You have to be studiously neutral toward their friends, their involvements, and very interested in them.
How can teens and parents bridge the gap between the reality and the perception of dark religion?
Adolescent religion is going to be very anti-dominant culture, kind of at war with the dominant culture. It's very egotistical. It's very self-centered, but it's a starting place.
There's so many different religions saying, well, believe me, I think this. And then there's this other religion, believe me, I think this, you know, and they're all different. Everyone's different. What are you supposed to believe?
I had some of my questions answered that just like the scriptures and all that, they just couldn't answer it for me.
Humans are given or, have a great gift, and that is, feeling all kinds of different feelings, lust, love, hate, this, that, and the other. And rather than trying to control these things, you should celebrate them.
Me and my mom have had loads of debates on all different aspects of society, and the big dividing line is she chooses God and I chose Satan.
People, don't be so uptight. That's all I gotta say.
I don't want people to understand me most of the time. I mean, you don't really want people to completely think they know you, but you just want to be accepted.
Satan is working double time to bring me back to his world.
There's always been an altar somewhere, hidden in some dark, musty cave somewhere. History will never record it, but it's there.